Welcome to Saving Energy, Saving Money. Do you want to save money on your energy bills? Our guest can show you how. Hello, I'm your host, Loie Hayes with Renew Boston. Our program is all about helping you make your home more affordable and more comfortable, no matter the weather. Since 2010, thousands of people have been able to start saving money because of Renew Boston and our statewide sister program, Mass Save. Renew Boston is not just about saving you money. We're also creating jobs for Boston residents. And we're helping to make Boston more sustainable. Every bit of energy that you save means that much less pollution has to be created. So thank you for tuning in. Our guest today is Erin Kizer with Boston Building Resources. Welcome, Erin.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Sure. Tell me about Boston Building Resources.
Sure. So our mission is to inspire, educate, and empower homeowners to improve the efficiency and add value to their homes. We do that through two socially related enterprises. The first one is the Reuse Center, where we take donated materials, some of which are new, some of which are used or surplus, and we sell them to homeowners at very affordable prices to help them maintain their homes. And the other part of our business is a building materials cooperative, in which we focus a lot on kitchens. We sell custom cabinetry and countertops, as well as windows and doors, and then a variety of conservation materials, which I brought here with me today to talk about. Wonderful,
wonderful. This is a great collection of items. I love the building materials resource. I had to redo my kitchen a few years ago. It was really falling apart.
Yeah.
And we had a wonderful time working with the planners to design the kitchen. And we were just about ready to order brand new cabinets. And we said, well, let's just visit the Resource Center one more time, see if anything has come in that would work for us.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we got a wonderful set of lightly used cabinets that fit perfectly, and we love them so much. And we use the Boston Building Resources all the time for materials like these.
Yeah, there's always great stuff coming in, so it's great to stop by, see what we get. It's always changing, so good stuff.
Great, great. And you're right on Terrace Street in Roxbury.
Yep, 100 Terrace Street. Yep.
Great, great. Now, what are the energy efficiency tools and tips and tricks that are easiest for Boston tenants and homeowners to do themselves?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think the first and most important thing for folks to do is just go get that energy assessment right away. So it's a great service through Renew Boston. It's free, it's easy to take care of. And through that, you're going to have an expert come to your house. They're really going to show you what's what, help you identify areas you can improve the efficiency at your home. And with that information, it's very powerful. You can get plugged into some of the subsidies and incentives that exist, and also figure out things that you might want to do beyond that program. And that's really where we can help you to identify those opportunities and help you really save energy.
Wonderful, wonderful. So how can Boston Building Resources help people save energy and save money?
Yeah, so there's a few things that we really like to focus on. Air sealing and insulation are two big ones, really helping you keep that heat in your house with you. You're paying for it, so keep it inside. So air sealing is something we like to think about kind of like wearing a wind jacket or a windbreaker, but around your house. So there's always kinds of cracks or holes or crevices where that air might be infiltrating, so helping seal those things up and keeping it out. And then once you keep the air out, making sure you keep the warm air in. So improving the insulation, whether it's in your walls or on your pipes, around your windows and doors, we have a lot of different options for that. And kind of the third area that we look at too is also electricity. So we recently have started carrying some of the efficient light bulbs, which are an easy way for people right away to think about saving some of those costs.
Great. I remember an amazing discovery about the air sealing in my house. We live on the second floor of a 3-story house, and you'd think, well, we're getting all this hot air from the downstairs, and it's true. But one day, I went around and tried to feel for cold air sneaking in, and I found a crack in the hall along the baseboard, and all along that crack was cold air streaming in. And when I put a little bit of caulk that I bought at your store down that crack, suddenly the cold air was not coming in anymore. So it really is amazing how cold air can find its way in, even to the inside wall of a second story,
Absolutely.
apartment.
Yeah, and some of those things may seem insignificant, but added together, they make a difference. And they affect your comfort, right? And so that's really important. If you're in your home, you want to be comfortable.
Yeah, I've read somewhere that a lot of Boston homes have enough of those little cracks that if you added them all together, it would be like a window this big that was open
Sure.
in the middle of the winter.
Which is not something you want to do.
Not something you want to do.
Yeah, it's great to kind of address those issues.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of it you can do yourself, just
Absolutely.
with a little bit of caulk or some of these other products.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we kind of look at some of this stuff?
Sure.
So one easy thing, speaking of all the cracks and whatnot, is kind of this weather stripping and caulking cord. This is great because sometimes you might find a gap like you did that is a little bit too big for just a little bead of caulk. So this product's great. You actually kind of just stuff it up. It's made to fill in those bigger holes. It's very pliable. It's kind of like, it feels like a Play-Doh material almost, but it will kind of maintain its consistency wherever you put it. It can be adjusted to kind of fill that hole just right. So that's a great way to fill it up, and then add the caulk just right on top of it to kind of reinforce that seal and make it nice and tight.
Cool. Cool.
So we have all kinds of different things, different colors too, so kind of match your interior and not be quite an eyesore, but also effectively seal those things off. And another option for that also is the spray foam, which is a little bit more heavy duty. It's one of those things that it expands as it goes around. Great for things like around larger penetrations. Basements is a good place for that stuff as well.
Great, great. Yeah, you do have to be careful with this stuff.
Sure.
It gets so sticky. I remember one time I got some on my hands, and even though I scrubbed and scrubbed, my fingers were black for days.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely important to kind of make sure you read the manufacturer's instructions, make sure you're following precautions, and use safety goggles or gloves whenever necessary. But if you have any questions, that's definitely something our staff can help you with as well, and help you address, get the right products for your project.
Great, great. What else do you have for air sealing? I noticed you have some little gaskets for outlets.
Yeah, so this is can be a minor thing for folks, but if you feel it, then it might be something that starts aggravating you and you know it's happening. So sometimes a place where air can sneak in is just around the covers of like your light switches or your plugs. This can definitely happen sometimes when the insulation has just not been kind of securely made tight all the way around, so that air will kind of find its way to sneak in. So these things are just kind of like a nice rubber gasket. It snaps in nice. All you have to do is get a screwdriver, unscrew these plates, put the gasket in, and then screw the plate right back on top. Seals it up nice and tight, kind of just creates a solid seal there.
This is a great project. Even if you only have about half an hour,
Yeah.
you can run around and do a lot of these in a short amount of time.
Sure.
And even on the interior walls, again, if you've got some leak in the basement that's letting cold air come up through your inside walls, sometimes you can have cold air coming out through your outlets or your switch plates.
That's absolutely right. So it's a good place to do it anywhere in your house, and very affordable solution.
Great, great. So tell me about windows and doors. I know a lot of times people have cold air coming around their windows and doors.
Yeah, that's certainly something that we hear a lot, and sort of the most noticeable place where people get air infiltration. And one of the places is most manageable for you to kind of address. So one thing we sell is the door kits. If you want to take a look at what we got over there. These are great. They're really pretty simple to install. And they come in these sizes that are very adjustable. So the kits we sell come in a 3-piece section. So this would actually go on the header above the door, and then 2 very similar pieces go on each side of the door. Basically all that happens is you just have to nail, this is just a wood that's been primed. So if you want to paint it to match the color of your door, that's all set and ready to go. And this is just like a rubber sealing gasket. So when the door closes, there won't be any opportunity for the air to sort of infiltrate around the door itself. Very easy to install. You can just use a saw to kind of trim this to the exact dimensions of your home or your door, and then you can just nail it right into the door frame.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So that you just need a hammer and a nail and a saw.
Yeah, and you're all set. And it's no trouble at all.
Great, great, great.
And the other part is the door sweep there. Again, same sort of idea. This goes on the bottom of the door there. It screws right in. There's kind of a bracket. turn it this way. A metal bracket so you can screw it right into the bottom. A lot of times people might just have a place where they'll put maybe a towel or something because they can feel that air sneaking in through the bottom. So this is kind of like a more nice looking alternative to that. It's the same sort of thing. Screw it right in. You can again cut it with a saw. I installed one of these on my door at home and it made a huge difference. Just in a spot that I could feel a lot of cold air coming in through, like our vestibule. Made me much more comfortable and didn't have cold feet as soon as I got in my house. So it's a nice, very easy alternative.
Great, great. I think we have to take a little break now for a public service announcement. But after we come back, we'll talk more about windows and other things.
Fantastic.
All right. We'll be back in just a minute then. Hello and welcome back to Saving Energy, Saving Money. My name is Loie Hayes. I'm your host with Renew Boston. Our guest today is Erin Kizer with Boston Building Resource. And we're talking about all these different ways that you can save energy in your home without a great deal of experience. You can do it yourself.
Absolutely. A lot of options.
Great. So we've been talking already about things like caulk, spray foam caulk, acrylic caulk, this weather stripping cord, and we talked about doors, about door kits that you can buy that you can seal up the edges to keep air from sneaking in around the door, and door sweeps that you can put on the bottom that keep air from coming in underneath. Let's talk about windows. What do you recommend for people to do for their windows?
Sure. So there's a lot of options for windows. Living in Boston, we have very old housing stock, so there's a lot of old windows around. It's a very common thing we hear, people feeling like they're getting a lot of drafts through their windows. So we have a lot of different things to help people address that. So one of the most affordable things, and I think a lot of people are pretty familiar with, are these window kits that are kind of like a shrink wrap almost. It's pretty affordable option and it's pretty easy to do. Really it's a piece of plastic. You use like a hair dryer, which is something a lot of people might have at home, and it just wraps the window in a bit of plastic to kind of prevent some of that air and that draftiness you feel from coming into your home.
Great. So this is the kind that has like double stick tape, and you first put the double stick tape all the way around the outside of the window frame, and then you cut the plastic to the dimensions of the window, and you just stick it right onto the double stick tape.
Right.
And then if you want to make it more wrinkle-free, you can use a hairdryer to shrink it a little bit, but you don't need to do that necessarily.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a nice option. The only downside of something like that is that usually it's only really usable once per season. After you use it, decide to take it down in the summer maybe when you want to open your windows again. It's kind of done. You have to dispose of that plastic. So we have another alternative. It's a very similar type of product, but it's sort of the advantages of this one is that it can be reused from year to year. So this is sort of a two-part system. If you imagine this is sort of like your window here. These plastic strips are removable. The bottom part comes with an adhesive, so you stick those all around the edge of your window. Just make sure it's covered all the way. And this plastic is actually quite a bit thicker than what would come in those other kits. It's 4 milliliters of plastic, and it comes in very long sheets, so you can get it custom sized to whatever will fit your windows. And then after you stretch it in, you really just snap these guys.